and Trekkers. Welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Track Tuesday. I'm your host Orinda, and together with Amanda Hopper, I recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek TNG. All the episodes will be recapped in chronically following. We will approach each episode with humor and a thumb and a look. Today we recap the episode Peak Performance. The Enterprise, under the commander of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, is ordered by Starfleet Command to take part in a simulated combat exercise to prepare for the Borg threat. A renowned Zakdoran strategist named Serna Kolrami is sent to serve as observer and mediator of the exercise. Commander Riker challenged Kolrami to a game of stratagema, knowing he has no chance to win, just for the honor of playing a grandmaster. Dr. Pulaski pushes Data to challenge the arrogant Kolrami, assuming Kolrami will be no match for Data's android reflexes and computational abilities. When the two later play, Data is soundly beaten, causing him to become convinced he is malfunctioning and remove himself from duty. The combat exercise pits the Enterprise against an 80-year-old retired Federation ship USS Hathaway, which is in orbit around a nearby planet. Picard is to command the Enterprise, while Riker is to choose a crew for the Hathaway. Riker recruits Chief Engineer Jodie LaForge, Lieutenant Worf, and Acting Ensign Wesley Crusher as his senior staff, and the team begins their efforts to restore the old ship to working order. The Hathaway is easily outclassed by the Enterprise and has no antimatter, making warp speed impossible. Wesley returns to the Enterprise under false pretense and surreptitiously beams a school experiment containing a small amount of antimatter to the Hathaway, which would allow them a very short warp burst. They are uncertain if it will work. Pulaski and Troy are unable to persuade Data that he is not malfunctioning, but Picard reminds him of his duty and advises him it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. Data's confidence is restored and he returns to the bridge. As the battle begins, Worf accesses the Enterprise sensors, generating a fake image of a Romulan warship attacking, and while the Enterprise is distracted, the Hathaway scores the first hit. Kolrami, who was initially dismissive of Riker's abilities, is impressed. The Enterprise regroups and prepares to attack the Hathaway when sensors report another intruding ship, a Ferengi marauder. Picard realized too late that this ship is not a sensor's trick, and the Ferengi attacks leaves the Enterprise faces locked in simulation mode and unable to return fire. The Ferengi commander Daimon Brackler, who is played by the great Armin Shimmerman, is unaware of the war games and suspicious of the behavior of the two Federation ships, concluding the Hathaway must be valuable, and demands that Picard surrender it to him. Picard and Riker devise a risky plan where the Enterprise fires photon torpedoes at the Hathaway, which the Hathaway using their short warp burst to jump to safety in an instant before the torpedoes detonate. The Ferengi believes their prize has been destroyed, turn their attentions to the Enterprise, but Worf tricks their sensors to detecting another Federation ship approaching, and the Ferengi flee. With the war games over, Data challenged Kolrami to a stratagema rematch. This time Data is able to hold Kolrami in check. Kolrami grows more and more frustrated, and the match progresses, ultimately throwing down his controls in disgust and storming off. Data explains that he altered his strategy, giving up opportunities for an advancement in order to maintain a stalemate, which he believed he could have maintained indefinitely. He initially regarded the results as a draw, but after prodding from Pulaski, admits his success. Well, guys, let's call Canada again. Hello, Amanda.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good. Had my job interview on Zoom there last week, like I told you. Except I don't think I got it because I didn't get a second interview.
Okay.
Oh well. Oh well. I tried.
Well, I don't remember if I told you this, but about 4 weeks ago we did a DNA test for our puppy.
Oh, okay.
And we thought he was a sprocker, but his DNA says that he is a full blood Springer.
Oh.
So yeah, well, what we saw was that he did have Cocker Spaniel in his bloodline, but that is generations ago. Till his seventh ancestor, he is totally English Springer. So he's full blood English Springer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but you see it also in his pictures, and also how he is and his character. So yeah, in one way I'm not surprised, and in other hand I'm saying I'm glad that I know now, cause you can. Because I always think because a Sprocker is a mix between a Cocker and a Springer. I always find it a little bit difficult to adapt and just provide what his needs is. But now he's just he's a full-blood Springer. That's a lot easier.
Yeah, there's certain breeds that are not easy to train, and there's some that are easy to train, and some are just stubborn.
Yeah, you can say that he got all of that, so.
Well, my Yorkie, technically it's not my Yorkie, it used to be my grandmother's, but it is ours now. She's 10 years old. I can make her walk on her back legs for short distance and do a little twirl.
Yeah.
She'll do it for me.
Yeah, some there can be can do fairy tricks. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
that's a little dog.
Yeah. So let's start with the episode.
All right.
I think it was a nice episode. But it was in one way a little bit fast, because I would have loved to have seen more of what the Ferengis are doing there.
Yeah. Did you know that Armin Shimmerman, the guy who played Quark, was in this one?
Yeah. And I remember that in an interview he said, well, I played that Ferengi so stupid that I wanted to redo it in Deep Space Nine, and that's why he became Quark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was, I think in overall it was a nice episode.
Oh, yeah.
Especially about the... Yes?
And like you said, it was quick.
It was quick in a way. And because I would love to have seen more about this strategy game, what they had, of a simulation, what they had to do. And speaking about that strategist, I hated him. I didn't like him at all.
Oh. No, I never liked him either.
He was so full of himself.
Yeah. He thinks he was Mr. High and Mighty. He's just so full of himself, gloating over winning against Data.
Yeah, but
and
not
it
only,
looks like he.
not
And
only
his
that,
face,
he was so negative about Riker.
oh.
And it was that moment that Picard said, we're going to need to speak privately, and then he told him the truth of, you can't do that to Riker, you don't know him as I do. And the stupid thing was how more they went in that game of battle strategy, how more he was, just all about Riker. And when the whole simulation was over and the Ferengi was in there, because then you saw when it come to face battle, he was very, very a coward.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, oh, you have to flee, and the Hathaway will be just casualty, battle casualty, and that we can see that and provide that. And I was thinking, dude, you're a coward.
Yeah, he's basically thinking, well, F the other people. I don't care about them. I'd rather stay here and get the heck out of here. Like,
saving her on his skin.
Members. He's like, oh, screw the other people. Let's get out of here. Safe attitude.
Yeah, but you see, and that's what Worf was right about. They can be this big master strategist, but if it comes to battle face to face, they are cowards. So Riker has 48 hours to get the old starship ready, but it's like a computer simulation. The all the weaponry on the Enterprise will be defect, and they will have, when, for example, the Hathaway shoots, it will be counted electronic. So what was really it reminded me of the game Battleship. You know, that strategy Battleship. Yeah, that's what reminded me of.
Yeah, Battleship / like a thing called like war games that some military groups would do. And cadet groups would do. Because I was in cadets when I was in high school, the air cadets, and one weekend they decided to have us go stay in the woods for survival night. Oh yeah, that was fun. Out in the cold. But it was summer, but it was still nighttime and it was cold. So yeah, we had it's kind of like a war game situation to see if we can survive outdoors. But basically what it is.
And you know that strategist was so negative about Riker that he really asked Picard, do you really chose Riker as the captain of the Hathaway, because I'm not I don't have faith in him. What was really rude. So the simulation is based on, and Starfleet based this on, because of the Borg threat. And in one way it's okay. And to be a little bit ahead, guys. After this episode, we only have one episode in season 2, and then we're starting with season 3 of TNG.
Really? There's only one episode left?
Yes.
In season 2?
And in season, the finale of season 3 is, of course, the first part of the 2-part episodes that Picard becomes Locutus. So
I don't think he's Locutus in season 3, is he?
Yes, in the last episode, last episode.
Oh.
And the first episode is the best of both worlds.
So towards the end of season 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a little confused there. I'm like, really? Oh.
So Riker could choose his own staff. And for his senior staff, he chose Worf, LaForge, and he took Wesley with him. And did you saw the face of the strategist of seeing what the hell, what does a child need to go on as a senior staff? Little did he know that, of course, Wesley
is smart for his age.
Wesley is a wonder child, or wonder kind if we say it in German. So he did that, and then he asked that strategist, who also is a Zekdorn, what really was a weird alien name, if I can say. Riker was challenging him for a game of strategema. And he was a grandmaster in strategema. And I don't know. And he said to Riker, why would you even play me? I'm a grandmaster, so you have no chance. But Riker did that for not to win, but more like keeping the high game up for humanity. So Riker and he went to 10 forward, and there they play strategema. And strategema is like, yeah, also like battleships, and it might remind me a little bit of Vulcan chess.
Okay.
But then in 3D or whatever.
Yeah. And the little finger thingies are really weird. Because you know what they remind me of? Milking things for cows' udders. That's what they remind me of.
Yeah.
Probably... 4 fingers on each hand. All the clicking sound going on like crazy.
I think there's also a little bit for as the sensitivity in the game. It likes like a RV glasses, you know, for computer games.
Oh yeah, VR glasses, yeah.
So Riker was playing at him, and before that, Worf said, well, we all took bets, and I bet on you. And so Riker asked him, okay, what are you feeling if I win? He said, well, I would be very happy, because I bet that you will win. And Riker asked then, and if I don't? Then he said, well, then I will be very annoyed and irritated. As we know of course, but okay.
Yeah.
So, Will loses. And I think you could have known that, because, of course, that strategist is a grandmaster in strategema. You know, when they talk about a grandmaster in strategema, it reminded me a little bit of the Korean Gambit. She was also the first female player who ended up in as a grandmaster.
Okay, that's what that movie's about.
Yeah, she's a well. The Green Gambit is officially an opening, and the very famous. I don't know how I pronounce this, but he was a grandmaster as well, and they offered him to play the grandmaster's role in the series, and but he declined, and he said, "But I would love to be an advisor how you can put this on screen, and as a grandmaster, and how they play chess." So that's what they did, and it reminded me of that. So we have to see that the Enterprise is now at that system where the Hathaway was. And you could see that it was a very, very old ship.
Oh yeah. No, you could tell it was old. Like older ships, I think they had the four nacelles on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the older ones were.
Yeah, the Hathaway was 80 years old.
Wow, that's old.
But it was funny because if you have seen Discovery Season 2, I believe, you see that there also is another version of the Hathaway. So, we're back on the Hathaway now, and we see that the team is getting ready in 48 hours, and Wesley enjoy working on the ship and do his thing, and then we see that Data is channeling the strategy master to play Stratagema. And but Data loses. And he was thinking, okay, I need to diagnose myself now, and I think I'm malfunctioned because I lost from the Grandmaster. And did you see his, that face of that strategist was so self-proclaimed, and I was thinking, dude, I would...
Yeah, that guy needs a good slap upside the head. He was so snobbish about it. He's like, I beat you. And then Data, he's like, I lost. I shouldn't have lost.
Yeah, but also, like, he is in that way super annoying. Did you notice? Did you notice his when he first came on the ship and he was walking after Riker? That was so annoying. So Diana of Troy and Pulaski are trying to convince Data that he is not malfunctioned, that he is just alright, but he just lost, you know. Yeah. And then they later on we see that Pulaski and Troy went to Picard and tell him, Captain, you need to give Data the order to just function normal, and then it's okay. He's not malfunction.
He's just having like a version of a little toddler meltdown that he didn't win.
A little bit, in a way.
But an android version.
Well, I think, and that's what I put down again on my notes, it was really weird, it's weird to see that Data, although he is an android, experience human emotions. And like we said before, sometimes, most of the times, Data is more human than the human itself. So, yeah, I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, he does seem to show a bit of human in him. You think maybe when they had that encounter with Q left a little bit of humanity in him, maybe?
Who knows? I don't know.
So I've been thinking this.
So, Wesley, we see that Data suffers from human emotion, what was really, is, in that way, we know Data like that. So, we are back on the Hathaway, and Wesley went back to the Enterprise to get one of his science projects. So, when Riker saw that, he said, Wesley, why do you have your science project here? He said, well, we can this, and do this to get the Hiawatha fired up again. And there's a little bit of the lithium in there. And Riker said, well, you're cheating by this, Wesley. And Wesley said, no, sir. This is just a science project. This is not, so I'm not cheating or whatever. What was again really clever of Wesley.
He is smart.
Yep, he is smart. So the simulation is beginning. And Riker makes the first move. And he let Worf pursuing a hologram of a Romulan bird. So the Hiawatha could strike first. And that's that reaction as a strategist. I was thinking, dude, you should go through the first and nearest airlock. So Riker got more approval of the strategist, and because well, this is typical Riker. And do you still think he is not qualified to be a captain? And you had to saw that face of him. The strategist said, well, he's good. And Picard said, well, he's the best.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And at the moment that the Enterprise wants to attack the Hathaway, sorry. There was a Ferengi ship close, and they were attacking the Enterprise, and the Enterprise couldn't fire back because they are still in the simulation. So then, of course, that strategist was a coward and said, well, we have to leave, and there's just battle casualties, and we can afford that, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
What was really cowardly.
Oh. Yeah, that dude was a major wuss when it comes to real battles. Simulations, he's like, okay, real battle? Frick no, he says, I'm gonna be out of here.
And that's exactly what Worf said. So Picard told him, you fuck off. So excuse my language. And I'm not going to leave my 40 people behind on the Hathaway. Screw that. And they actually start arguing. And I was thinking, dude, you need to have a kick at your butt and get out of that bridge. It's still Picard is still the captain.
Yeah. He did need a swift kick in the butt, he did.
And then the Ferengi came on screen, and they were interrogating Picard why he first fired on the Hathaway and now he is protecting it. So they wanted the Hathaway as a prize.
Of course they do. They want everything.
But
they think they can make some money off of it.
Of course they are Ferengi.
Anything they can get their little hands on, they can try to make profit off of it. They want to try to sell it for gold pressed platinum.
Yeah, basically. But not only that, I think it's just... Did you notice, by the way, that the appearance on the Ferengi was weird? They had too much of a big head, in my opinion. So, Picard and Riker were discussing what they have to do because they can't do that. And so they were saying, okay, we have some warp power for about 2 or 3 seconds. That can be or escape. So they are saying, okay, the Enterprise will destroy the Hathaway, but the Hathaway escape by at the last second get to warp for a few seconds.
Yeah, and they're gonna play a little sneaky.
Yeah, like some kind of a wham chick or what known for in the Air Force. But what they did is they fired on the Enterprise, on the Hathaway, and the Hathaway will burst them away, 2-3 seconds of warp, and then they will come back as another starship that will not be flanked as the Hathaway, but just as a Starfleet ship, starship.
Yeah,
and that will fool.
Signal.
That will fool the Ferengi. So Picard said, "Okay, on my mark," and so they destroyed the Hathaway, and you could see that the Ferengi weren't amused of it, because that would be the they could see that there will be no Platinum Letterman prize there.
Yeah, no money for you.
So the one who played the Captain Ferengi, or I must say Diamond Ferengi, he was saying, well, now it is our privileges to destroy you. And at the moment that they are wrapping up to shoot on the Enterprise, there is another Starfleet vessel coming near them. What was in real the Hathaway. So when the Ferengi saw that, they fled.
Yeah.
Also here, cowards. So the strategist finally admits that Riker was a good captain, and he will report to Starfleet that this was a good game. What he had seen, the simulation was perfectly rounded up, and he learned something to it was just like, you don't have to flee every time. There are things how you can resolve problems like this. So then we see one of the last scenes. We see Data playing again against the strategist, the game Strategema, and he wins.
Yeah.
What was nice to see, and because Data was winning, the strategist was very furious.
Oh yeah, he was literally blowing a fuse in this little brain of his.
It reminded me of a spoiled little brat that didn't have their way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean by the spoiled little brats. If a little kid don't get their way, they throw the biggest tantrum in the world. That's the way he was acting.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't get my way.
And I think it was Pulaski and Troy who were convincing him, Data, you run, you know. And then you saw him quasi smiling and smirking, and he said, yeah, well, I busted him up. And yeah, and then they cheered, you know.
Yeah. Literally saying I whooped his butt in the game.
Mm-hmm. And that, guys, was the last scene of this episode.
Well, another one of those short ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and of course we are going to season 3 shortly. I think from season 3 there are more better episodes than in the first 2 seasons. They are really writing it out, you know, not like this, like 2 or 3 subjects, but more like, or storylines, but it is like one storyline and it is more detailed.
Oh yeah, there's a lot there in there. You got some good ones, and you got some really bizarre episodes. Like the candle episode. That was a weird one. Oh my god. Dr. Crusher falling in love with a candle ghost.
Mm-hmm. So, Amanda, do you have something to add?
Not really. I thought it was a pretty decent episode. Just a little short, like last time's episode that we recorded it was short. That one was short. And yeah, that guy, you almost want to throw him out of an airlock. He was such a cranky little guy.
Yeah. Well, if I look at the rating on IMDb, they give it a 7.7. What would you give it?
I say I'm going to stick with that number there.
Sure,
it was a short episode.
Yeah. I personally would give it a 7.
Yeah. Yeah, around that.
Yeah. Wow. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Shades of Grey, I think it's called.
Yeah, Shades of Grey.
I thought that was today's episode. I got mixed up.
And yeah, guys, that is the last episode of season 2 TNG. And then we already have made, if I'm correct, we are at 54.
Holy crap.
No, a bit low. 45 episodes we have. So,
wow.
Well, Amanda, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah.
And we speak each other in about 2 weeks again for the new episode.
Oh yeah, we will.
Have a nice day and live long and prosper, guys.
Yeah, live long and prosper.
Well, thank you guys for listening, and join us in 2 weeks for a new episode recap. In the next episode, we will recap the episode Shades of Grey. I also like to tell you about my other podcast called Orinda Talks. Orinda Talks is a podcast which I talk about books, movies, fandoms, and other geeks things. You can find Orinda Talks on the YouTube channel or join the Facebook group. We will see you in 2 weeks.